The African savanna is a place of brutal honesty, where only the strongest survive, and weakness is a sentence usually served swiftly by predators or the elements. For Dr. Elias Thorne, a wildlife veterinarian with over 20 years of experience tracking big cats across the Serengeti, this was supposed to be a standard population survey. At 45, Elias has seen everything from poaching snares to natural territorial wars, but nothing could prepare him for the silhouette he spotted breaking the horizon line near the Mara River. Through the heat haze of the midday sun, it looked like a lioness, but her movement was all wrong. She was not stalking. She was shambling, dragging her hind legs with a heaviness that spoke of profound exhaustion. Elias killed the engine of his Land Rover and raised his binoculars, expecting to see a wound from a buffalo horn or perhaps a snare wire. What he saw was far more bizarre and heartbreaking. Encircling the lioness's midsection just behind her front legs was a massive black rubber tire. It was a standard truck tire discarded by humans, and now a permanent shackle for this queen of the plains. She was severely emaciated, her ribs showing clearly through her dusty coat. Yet her belly was distended in a way that suggested a cruel irony. She appeared to be pregnant. The rubber was tight, constricting her natural growth and digging into her skin, creating a friction that must have been agonizing with every single step. She paused, panting heavily, her tongue lolling out as she looked back at her flank. The object was heavy, likely weighing 30 pounds or more, a burden she had been carrying for who knows how long. Elias whispered to himself, gripped by the sheer impossibility of her existence, asking how she had managed to survive this long with such a handicap. To understand this tragedy, we have to rewind time. Go back 3 years to when the rains were plentiful and the grass was high. She was just a cub then, full of the boundless energy that defines youth in the wild. Her pride had wandered near an old abandoned construction track, a place where human debris occasionally washed up like scars on the landscape. To a curious 6-month-old cub, the discarded tire was not a trap, it was a toy. She batted at it, pounced on it, and in a moment of playful clumsiness, she dived headfirst through the center hole. It slipped easily over her small shoulders and settled around her waist. It seemed funny at first, a strange necklace that made her wobble. But as the sun began to set, the game turned into panic. She tried to back out, but the rubber caught against her fur. She whimpered, calling for her mother. The matriarch of the pride, a formidable huntress, immediately sensed the distress. She batted at the tire, trying to claw it off, but her claws just slid off the smooth, synthetic surface. The mother tried to bite through the thick tread, but the steel-belted radial was impervious to her teeth. For hours, the family tried to free her, but the tire was a prison designed by man and unbreakable by nature. The pride eventually had to move to follow the great migration of the wildebeest. The cub simply could not keep up with the grueling pace. The mother looked back one last time, a heartbreaking decision dictated by the unforgiving laws of the savanna. She turned away, leaving her child to a fate that seemed like certain death, vanishing into the tall gold grass. Seasons changed, and the landscape shifted from green to brown and back again. The cub survived on scraps and small prey, a shadow of what a lion should be. The tire became a vice. As her skeleton tried to expand, the rubber wall held firm, compressing her organs and fusing with her fur in a painful embrace that never ceased for a moment. Her growth was stunted significantly by the trap. While her peers grew muscular and tall, she remained low to the ground, her spine slightly curved to accommodate the weight. The friction caused chronic inflammation, and her breathing was always shallow, restricted by the unyielding band around her ribs that refused to give way. Back in the present, Dr. Elias stepped out of the vehicle. The heat was oppressive. He moved slowly, keeping his body language non-threatening. He expected a roar or a defensive swipe, but the lioness simply watched him with amber eyes that held no aggression, only a deep, weary resignation that suggested she knew this was the end. She was too weak to run away. Her energy reserves were depleted from carrying the extra weight while pregnant. She let out a soft chuff, a sound usually reserved for greeting pride members, which broke Elias' heart. It was a plea for help from an apex predator that had been reduced to helplessness by human negligence. Elias retreated to his rover and grabbed the satellite phone. He dialed the emergency response unit of the Kenya Wildlife Service. He gave the precise GPS coordinates, his voice steady but urgent. He emphasized the pregnancy and the constriction, requesting a specialized veterinary trauma team be dispatched immediately to the site. While waiting for the team, the wind shifted. The scent of infection and weakness carried downwind, attracting the opportunists of the plains. A clan of spotted hyenas emerged from the scrub. They yipped and giggled, sensing that the queen was vulnerable and unable to defend herself effectively against their overwhelming numbers. The lioness tried to rise, but collapsed, her strength failing. The hyenas circled closer, their confidence growing with every step. Elias knew he could not use a gun, as he was a researcher, not a ranger. He had to think fast, to prevent nature from taking its cruel course right before his eyes and ending her life. He launched his surveillance drone. The buzzing mechanical bird swooped down low over the hyenas, startling them with its high-pitched whine. He then revved the engine of the Land Rover, driving it between the predators and the lioness, using the vehicle as a massive steel shield to block them from reaching her. The hyenas snapped at the tires of the car, testing this new barrier. Elias honked the horn rhythmically, a harsh, unnatural sound that confused the pack. For now the stalemate held, but the sun was dropping lower, and night belongs to the hyenas. He prayed the rescue team would arrive before the darkness gave them courage. A dust cloud on the horizon signaled salvation, just as the last light began to fade from the sky. The Kenya Wildlife Service vehicle roared into view, scattering the hyenas into the shadows. Dr. Sarah Okello, the lead veterinarian, jumped out, her face set in grim determination as she assessed the scene.
Don't worry, help is here.
Sarah had performed hundreds of rescues, but the sight of the tire embedded in the pregnant lioness made her pause. She signaled her team to move with quiet efficiency. The lioness was too exhausted to lift her head, watching them with eyes that were glazing over from dehydration and severe pain. The field diagnosis was critical and worrying. Her heart rate was thumping at a dangerous 120 beats per minute. Her temperature was elevated from infection. The tire itself weighed at least 15 kilograms, a crushing burden for an animal that was already fighting to survive.
She's too swollen.
The team first attempted to remove the object manually, hoping to slide it back over her shoulders. It was impossible. The rubber had fused with the matted fur, and the swelling of her pregnancy locked it tight against her hips. Every tug caused the lioness to growl low in her throat from the agony. Sarah made a difficult call regarding the anesthesia. Full sedation was too risky for the unborn cubs and might stop the mother's weak heart permanently. They had to use a reversible sedative, keeping her in a twilight state where she could still feel pressure, but would not panic or thrash wildly. The tension was palpable as the team brought out the heavy-duty bolt cutters. The metallic clack of the tools seemed deafening in the silence of the savanna. The lioness twitched her muscles, bunching under the skin. One wrong move could cause her to lash out and injure the very people saving her. Elias saw the fear in the animal's eyes and stepped forward, violating protocol to offer comfort. He placed a heavy hand on her shoulder, grounding her. He spoke in a low rumble, mimicking the sounds of the pride. Surprisingly, she leaned into his touch, seeking the reassurance of another living being. Sarah positioned the cutters at the thickest part of the tread. It took the combined strength of two rangers to clamp down. The steel belts inside the rubber groaned under the pressure. With a loud snap that echoed across the plains, the circle of rubber finally broke open, releasing its cruel grip. Gently, they peeled the heavy rubber casing away from her body. The silence that followed was heavy. Underneath the fur was rubbed raw, and the skin was indented deep into the muscle fascia. But there was no arterial bleeding, just the weeping wounds of a chronic injury that had defined her whole life. The relief was immediate and visible as her ribs expanded fully for the first time in years. Sarah worked quickly to flush the wounds with saline and apply long-acting antibiotics. The lioness took a deep, shuddering breath, her body finally relaxing into the dirt, free from the man-made prison. As the sedative quickly wore off, the lioness blinked, her amber eyes clearing. She pushed herself up on trembling legs. For the first time in years, she stood without the dragging anchor of the tire. She shook her mane, a cloud of dust rising, and took a step. It was tentative, but she did not stumble. She looked back at the rubber pile. The team began packing their gear, the adrenaline fading into exhaustion. But the savanna is never truly safe. The hyena clan had regrouped in the twilight, emboldened by the scent of blood from the cleaning. They emerged from the tall grass, not just curious now, but hunting. Their eyes reflected the vehicle lights with hunger. Elias was closest to the open door when a large female hyena lunged. The rescued lioness, despite her severe weakness, did not run away. She stepped between the man and the beast, letting out a roar that was more air than sound, but full of defiance. She was protecting her saviors, risking her frail body in a moment of gratitude. The hyenas, sensing her weakness, prepared to swarm her. Suddenly the earth seemed to shake. A massive golden shape erupted from the darkness, hitting the lead hyena with the force of a freight train. It was another lioness, older, larger, and bearing the scars of 1,000 battles. She stood over the younger female, teeth bared. This newcomer was a warrior. She swiped with lethal precision, sending the scavengers scrambling into the night, yelping in pain. The threat evaporated instantly in the face of this alpha power. The savior did not pursue them far. She turned back immediately, her aggression melting into concern as she approached the tire victim. The older lioness began to groom the younger one, licking the raw wounds where the tire had been. She nudged the pregnant belly gently.
Exactly as I
It was the mother from the flashback, the one who had been forced to leave years ago. She had never truly abandoned her child, only waited in the shadows, unable to break the human trap herself. Elias watched, stunned. He rushed to his laptop, checking the long-term camera trap data from the region. The grainy night vision images confirmed it. For 3 years, this matriarch had been shadowing the trapped female, sharing kills and chasing off predators. She had been a silent guardian angel, waiting for a miracle she could not provide. The two lionesses turned towards the open plains side by side. The younger one walked freely, her stride matching her mother's. The limp was gone, replaced by the natural grace of her species. They moved into the darkness, a reunited family bound by blood and survival, leaving the human world and its debris far behind them forever. Nature is often cruel, but it is also capable of profound loyalty. Today we did not just remove a tire, we restored a family. This rescue proves that even in the wild, bonds of love can endure the harshest conditions. It reminds us that our waste has consequences, but our compassion can rewrite the ending of a tragedy into a triumph. These stories are only possible because of viewers like you who care about the wild. If this rescue touched your heart, please subscribe to the channel and like this video to support our mission. Your engagement helps us save more lives. Thank you for watching and helping us give these animals a second chance at life.